This is July 20th, 2020. Hi. And this is Great Sarasota Coaches Alliance. So welcome, everybody. Jackie, you missed my fabulous introduction, which basically was, let's just talk about what we've been through and what we're visioning for the future. So would anybody like to start? What's been going on for you dealing with not only the potential or the actual experience of the virus that's going around, but also your mindset, your lifestyle? This has had major implications in a lot of ways. Anybody want to say what's been going on? Sure, Marilyn.
Yeah, hi everyone, nice to see you all. I'm actually excited about this time because it's given me a pause to look at what I want to do. And one of the things that I'm very excited about is working with Jackie. And I'm working closely in alignment with her foundation for the prevention of teen suicide, being an advocate, and asking people to join us in that mission. And the other thing that she's introduced me to is, because my background is teaching and also I have a background as an entrepreneur, she's introduced me to EQ to IQ, which is a platform for brain retraining. And I've been practicing, and this morning I practiced again. I've got another practice on Thursday with children ages 3 through 14 and their parents. And just helping them change behaviors by these games, this card game that you play with kids. It's digital. I can do it on Zoom. So there's just so much to it that I invite you to, I can send you a link if you're interested in just seeing what it's all about. But it's exciting because our society really needs this kind of platform. I believe it's called EQ to IQ or UEQ.
On the bottom of your screen, there's a little button. If you move your cursor, it says chat. Click on chat, and if you would just write it, that would be
Marilyn,
great.
I'll help you get Marilyn. I'll help you get your link for that so that you give them the correct link. So don't put anything in the chat yet.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. But anyway, I'm really excited. I actually worked with a mother and her 4-year-old brain-injured daughter who is also autistic. And through this game that we played in evaluating her at the first level, her mother said this is the first time she ever felt something. She actually expressed feelings. So this has to do with your right and left brain. And it's really an exciting program and platform. And I want you to check it out because it's renewed me. I have a feeling this is going to be something I can tutor along with Jackie's program. And I'm learning Zoom. I'm learning how to use these different vehicles to express myself. So yeah, it's been a hard time because I haven't been able to travel back home. I haven't been able to be with friends I miss. But I'm using it at this time to just change. And Jackie, go ahead.
Go ahead and what? Introduce myself?
Were you going to put something up there for me?
We have to go get it, Marilyn. So
I'm sorry.
We'll talk off screen and get it to everybody.
Okay, great. We'll get that for you later. Thank you.
Leslie, I'd like to interject.
Yes.
Just since we have new people on the call today, I thought it would be good to do a round of introductions before.
Okay, sure. You're right. Thank you. I don't know where my mind is. Phyllis is quite correct. Why don't we just do some very brief introductions? And Phyllis, since you started us off, why don't you start off?
So, hi, I work as a career coach, and my school was the Coactive Institute, and I'm certified, and I'm also a certified RIM practitioner. And I primarily work with people who don't know what they want to do next, but I also help solopreneurs like other coaches and consultants and creative individuals. I help them build their
Cynthia?
Hi, Cindy from Ringling College of Art and Design. I work with lots of students, and my main focus here is working with alumni. I've been here for 27 years, so have a big base to work with, and it's been rough, you know. I mean, a lot of our demographic is really great. They're already working online, the game program and virtual reality and motion design. It's been pretty easy for some of them, though, you know, filming and a lot of things have gone by the wayside a little bit. But haven't had too much negatives from those out there. We're just trying to keep the 2020 grads engaged, and we've been doing workshops, you know, thanks to Zoom and being able to bring people in from all over the place to speak to the students from all over the place and graduates from all over the place. It's been a bonus, and we're planning our fall presentations, and you don't have to fly anybody in or put anybody up in a hotel or find a room for them to present to. So there's some positives. My yard has, you know, on a personal level is just amazing. Been landscaping, and we spread about 3-4 yards of pea gravel and 80 bags of mulch and painted my carport. And so, yeah, kind of, I just miss people. I miss traveling. I miss hugs.
Yeah. Yes, I do too. It's amazing. I read a statistic the other day that Goodwill and a lot of charities that accept donations have been absolutely overwhelmed during this time because so many people were home. So many people cleaned out their houses. They hardly knew what to do with all the stuff. So interesting who benefited and who didn't.
Yeah, I haven't moved to the inside yet, so I'm still working on the outside.
Right.
That'll be next.
A challenge figuring out when and how and if you can have students come back. I'm just muting my phone. In person again, huh? Big deal.
Well, and big for international, you know, students. So yeah, we've got a brand new residence hall that's gorgeous, and the president is doing an address to the students tonight. So I'm sure there'll be, instead of 4 people to a unit, there might be 1. I'm not sure. You know, it's changing. And with Florida being a hotbed, you know, do parents want to send their kid here, or
Right.
a lot of people taking gap years, so that's been, you know, people don't want to spend their senior year like this, so they're taking a gap year and maybe coming back.
Right. My
We'll
partner's
see.
nephew is dealing with that. He's at Denison, and they're going back, but with restrictions, and he wants either the full experience or to work from home because it's not going to be the same at school, and he doesn't trust other kids not to party and be irresponsible.
Yeah, COVID party. We just had pre-college, 180 students that did it all virtually, so that just ended this weekend.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Don't make me call on you.
Hey guys, sorry I joined late.
That's okay. So we're going around and introducing ourselves. Let's see, Tammy.
Sure, I'll just step out and be brave here. That's my word for this year.
We're a kind group, don't worry.
Pardon me?
We're a kind group, don't worry.
Good. Well, thank you very much. I want to just say thank you for having me, allowing me to come a part of your Zoom meeting today. I researched your group several months ago, and that was when you were meeting at the Cafe Bache, and it never worked out into my schedule, but I knew that I desperately needed and wanted a group of other coaches that I could just find support and support them. So I have a friend that's here today, Chris. Thank you, Chris, for sending me the link, and it worked out, and so here I am. So thank you so much. I'm just really excited to be here. I'm a life coach that works here in Sarasota, and I guess my stream of specialty when I was originally going down this path was addictions and recovery. And so I work a lot with families of loved ones who have some issues with destructive behaviors. I also work a lot with middle-aged women who are finding that transition time of their life where what do I do next? Do I retire, or I'm not liking this second half of my life? And so how do I refine myself, and how do I find meaning and purpose? And so those are the two areas that I have really found myself evolving into, and I'm just really enjoying it. Struggles that I've had with this time, I think probably like many people, just coming to the reality of this is where we're at right now, and how do we create a better new normal. And but some of the frustrations of just not being able to see people, hug people, but those are probably my biggest ones. I like some of you have already said, I'm finding a lot of possibilities in this. My home, I'm working mainly from home. I do have an office, and there's one day a week that I do go into my office, but for the rest of the week, I'm here at home working, and it's fabulous. Dinners are on time. Stress is down. The drive time, don't have to worry about that. Don't have to wear shoes. That's been a great thing for me. Most of my clients have adapted to this concept of Zoom, and actually are finding a lot of possibilities within that too. So where do I go from here? I'm just excited to continue to be able to connect with groups like you that fits into my schedule. And I'm just excited to be able to grow from here. With the possibilities that I'm given and the opportunities I'm given. So I think that's it. Did that cover all the questions?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's really what you want to share more than my questions, to be honest. But thank you and welcome. And I certainly hope you're getting an introduction to us, which is not our usual, obviously, as much of life is now, not our usual. But I hope down the road, when and if it's possible and appropriate, that our goal is to start meeting again in person, probably the Bijou, if it's still in existence, or wherever. But until then, we'll be meeting virtually so that at least we can maintain the connection. And we've got some good guests lined up, which for the next couple of months, which I will tell you about at the end of this conversation. So welcome. And please do consider joining us. You'd be most welcome. Anyone else?
Chris.
Hi, Christine. How are you? Hi, Chris.
Good. Nice to see you. And Tammy, I'm so glad I told you about the meeting, because I was just reading my emails and it was like, I hadn't put this on my calendar for today. And I've got a handyman working here, and it's like, oh, so I tuned in very quickly because I had to hear Leslie's talk for sure. And I'm a holistic psychotherapist, and with many years of experience, and I do very effective work for anxiety, depression. I've also been a career counselor for 30 years. I do less of that now, but there's that book, What Color's Your Parachute? And actually the author of that passed away after publishing it for about 30 years. And I'm listed in that book, however, as a provider of counseling services, career counseling services, and they have a little asterisk if you honor the spiritual bend, that you can put that, because he writes from a spiritual perspective, and unfortunately he passed away within maybe a year ago, Richard Bowles, and the family or people are continuing it as just an online entity that you can still access What Color is Your Parachute information online. And people are welcome to, all you have to do is ask to put your name on if you want. But my work, and I'm mostly retired, and I've been working online for when I'm in Florida. I was a snowbird, now I'm here full time. When I worked online, my client said, well, the work is just as good, except you don't get a hug at the end. So now with COVID, we're not getting hugs.
Hugging your computer is not the same.
No, it's not, but I felt that. I liked it. So, but it is very possible. I don't work with mentally ill people in the sense that if they have like bipolar or schizophrenia, the work that I do isn't appropriate for them. You have to be based in reality, but there is fantastic help for anxiety and depression without medication in short order too. Use some acupressure touches, and the people can do that for themselves. I show them how to hook themselves up. And
I imagine if people can find you now, there would be a great need for that, because so many people have not, by habit, been, and this is not a criticism, so many people have not been self-reflective very much in their lives. And the shelter at home and the restrictions and the lack of social contact has thrown a lot of people into, in a way, looking at themselves in the mirror in a way they never have before. And so a lot of people are dealing with depression and anxiety and disorientation and rage also.
Yeah.
A lot of very heightened emotions going on. So I hope people can find you.
Thank you. I don't put a Band-Aid on. I get to the roots on it, and I give it away to get out of your system, out of your nervous system, which is fantastic. So
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Who would like to speak next? Mona?
I will, Joan.
Mona raised her hand and she's trying to, there you are, Mona.
Yes.
And so you go after Mona.
Hi, it's wonderful to see everyone today. And I'm Mona Baker, and I create a new ease of moving freedom for my clients. I am a movement therapist, and I work at the Florida Integrated Medical Center as a practitioner there. And I help people. Most of those particular clients are struggling with pain, so I help to teach them a whole new mind-body engagement so they can repattern and be free of their pain. And so during this time, of course, I didn't necessarily see clients at the clinic, but a lot of them followed me home. So I still maintained seeing a few clients, which was wonderful. But then the other thing that I needed to do, I realized maybe I need to start investigating this whole new internet world. And so I have been doing that. And it's been really an exciting new adventure. And I created a course called Knee Recovery Blueprint. And this Sunday is my first online course. And I have two participants. And these were the two participants in my from my market research that I really wanted to get, and I got them. So I am really, really excited about that.
Mona, if you want to take a minute while we're talking and just put a link or a sentence or two about how people reach you, if anyone here wants to make a referral, put it in the chat.
Okay,
So
well.
If anybody would like to refer anyone
Okay.
to Mona, you can do that. And also, Chris Hannafin, if you are looking for clients, if you want a referral, put it in the chat. That may be a good reason to post this recording on the website so that people can access current contact information for the people who are here, if you want it. And there's no obligation, but just put it in the chat. If you don't know where it is, if you run your cursor or your finger over the bottom of the screen, a bunch of controls will pop up and we'll say chat, just click on that. And make sure you're writing to everyone. Thank you, Mona. And Joan, you next?
Me, Joan?
Yeah.
Okay. I think most of you know that I am a long-term, 30-some years, career coach and retirement options. So even way back when I started my own company 30-some years ago, with my career searching for people that had been fired, I always wanted them to look at options, not think that they had to do the same thing. So that's been very helpful for me now, because people do have to look at something very different maybe than what they've been doing. And the retirement options, I'm certified in that for the past 2 years. And I think that it's very important for people to think about what they're going to do in retirement. If they don't need the money, that's fine. But most of the people, 90% of the people that I work with, do want to pull in some kind of stream of income. I've had a couple that didn't need the money, but I helped them figure out which nonprofit would be good for them. And I just got a call from it's there 8 years later. She still loves this nonprofit, but I helped her figure out which was the one most satisfying for her. So I'm still doing that. I was moved here 2.5 years ago and was working with people in New York and Connecticut, which is where I came from, because they had remote programs. But now I'm starting to get some here in Sarasota. So I'm doing both retirement coaching and career options coaching. Most of them have been online. I was meeting in person, but right now we're doing it through Zoom. And I think there's a lot of advantages of Zoom. I started a family Zoom meeting once a month, and through associations I belong to, other ones, we do Zoom meetings. But I do like to get in touch and be close to people. So we started a street up Friday night. Right on our street, there's about 5 couples that get together with our chairs, and we sit 6 feet apart. We do that every Friday. And it was really interesting because I found out neighbors lived, maybe 2 miles from me in Connecticut. Never knew it till we had these parties. So anyway, I like to be with people, and it's hard not to hug them, but I do like the Zoom too. And I'm able to be with a group in Connecticut that I couldn't be with anymore after I moved. And I think I mentioned this before. There were only 8 of us, and we brainstormed a lot, helped each other. Now I'm able to be with their meeting every month because it's a Zoom meeting for them too. So there's advantages and disadvantages.
Right. Yes, there sure are. Thank you. Who would like to go next? Jean, maybe? Wait.
Unmute myself. Okay, there I am. Okay, hello everyone. Am I unmuted? Yes.
Yes, you are.
Okay, so I am a career coach. I own Career Advice Simplified as well as a human resources professional, and I called Human Resources Simplified also. And I've been writing a lot of resumes. Shall we say that some people are unemployed? Yes. So I have been doing a lot of resumes and career documents and things like that. However, tomorrow I'm doing a full-day virtual training program on a new platform that is pretty similar to all of these. It's GoToTraining. And so I've got, I don't know, 30 or 50 people in the course. And it is on how to write a resume. But it's through a company that I've worked for 15 years, doing that. So it's not, my own thing. So that should be interesting because I've got to learn that platform better today. Let's put it to you that way. But that'll be interesting. Also, most recently in the last 3 months, I've been working at a multi-physician medical practice here in Sarasota, where I never work, as the interim director of human resources. So going in every day, getting my temperature checked, wearing the mask, and working with 50, 60, 70 people.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Busy.
Yes. So that's it. So I'm back now just to doing training and career stuff right now. But I want to say that what strikes me is that half of the people I am friends with and know seem to be beyond stressed. The other half seem to be taking it like it's no big deal. So I feel like I'm between these two worlds of people who, some that are like, yeah, no, it's okay. And the other one's like, don't get near me. So it's really, it's been a challenge that way.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep throwing things out here and people can pick up on them or not. But I've been thinking a lot about the effect of people's basic, because I know the Myers-Briggs really well. And I'm thinking about the different effects on people who tend towards extroversion as opposed to introversion of this whole time. Because in many ways, all the stuff I've been reading, introverts seem to tend to do a little bit better in this time, and extroverts who don't have enough of a network to connect to on Zoom have been really struggling. The people I know who are really stressed and having a hard time with this tend to be the extroverts who like to run around and meet people in person and network and go to meetings and all that. And while Zoom is a good alternative, it is not a replacement, as we all know. It's not the same. It's a different form of communication. Virtual communication is great when there's no alternative. It's better than not meeting. For many people, it's better than the phone. For some people, they like the phone better. But it's an interesting question, one's personality. I also think this time is very much favoring entrepreneurs. So I think most of us are likely to do better in this time because we're not necessarily reliant on a particular employer and a large company to have to be sustained in this time. Lots of mom and pop stores are really struggling. You know, realtors, some of them are really struggling. Lots of different small manufacturers are really struggling, and we're in a, my feeling is in some sense we may be a little more fortunate to have more opportunities because we're all self-propelling anyway. All right, end of sermon. Who hasn't spoken yet? Deb Mazzaferro?
Hi, Deb Mazzaferro, still doing coaching and consulting for the specialty food trade. As you can imagine, any of my clients selling to grocery stores are doing very, very well. And anybody selling to restaurants is doing really, really badly. So my life hasn't really changed that much. I think, Leslie, it's interesting what you say about extroverts, because I think anybody who knows me even a little bit knows I'm off the charts extroverted. But I've had a virtual business for 20 years now. My clients have not been local to me. And quite frankly, I've always found it a little unprofessional when I go to trade shows and people want to hug me. So I'm kind of relieved that the whole thing has gone away. That's just me personally. That doesn't mean I don't want to hug my friends or my family, but I think that people I barely know come into my space, you know, assumes a intimacy that isn't even there or isn't really there. Especially, as you can imagine, in a 40-year career, we may have butted heads at one point or another. And then all of a sudden they're my best friend because they haven't seen me in 6 months. I find that very weird. You know, I did take 2 months off and had the biggest revelation was how much money I wasn't spending going out to dinner and plays and all that kind of good stuff. So, so that was interesting. And then once golf courses started allowing a single cart with one person on it, I've been back to golf, and yoga went virtually, and now we're back at the beach, socially distanced at the beach if we want that option. So those were my two primary physical activities, other than the gym here at the condo, which closed, and when it reopened with too many restrictions for my taste. So I've been walking since day one. I mean, if you exercise like I do every day and you don't do it, you know, some days it's like a little celebration. Okay, I'm just not going to do it today. But there's a withdrawal. You know, your body's like saying, get up off your feet. So I think that's all I want to say, other than it is so nice to see everybody. And especially, I'm going to call out Cynthia because we never get to see her at a meeting. And Marilyn's been a member for a while and hasn't attended. And Christine has been oncoming, and one of these days is going to join. So, and then there looks like there's a couple of new people, Phyllis Miller and Norton, who we haven't heard from yet either. Hopefully, kind of leaving Troy's face.
Not really never. I mean, maybe.
No, you're there occasionally.
A couple times a year, but yeah. But it's
spring is just out for me, but the spring, you know, is out for everybody. So
You deserve to have a job that you have to be at, so you know.
Yeah, and I'm in the office today, so I'm here twice a week and home the other 3 days. So
the other thing that I think is fascinating as I watch people, you know, I'm really just more of a news junkie than I don't watch much TV, but I do watch PBS NewsHour and some other, you know, what I hope are bipartisan or nonpartisan news shows, is how many, almost every single one does their recording in their den or their home office, and there's a wall of books in the background. And I think that's fascinating. And I was just kind of counting who in the room here. My books are over here, so you can't see them. But
I'm sure and some are still in boxes. That's why I'm not sitting.
Right, but is it? I mean, I just like the people I like to listen to give news commentary are obviously well read. That's kind of my takeaway.
Well, thank you. Thanks very much. Why don't we go to Kent? Are you there, Kent? I don't know. Okay, great. Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I've known Jackie Simmons for years, and she's the one that turned me on to the group.
Aha.
I went to the couple of meetings. I'm just a certified court mediator, and I do some work in emotional intelligence. I was trained in mind-body medicine in Boston, basically to help physicians. People don't realize we lose 250 to 300 physicians a year through suicide. It's really bad. It used to be dentists and psychiatrists. Now it's orthopedists and other types of doctors. But doctors are really, really stressed. They're not getting paid. Patients are driving them nuts. There's so many regulations. So that's a problem. I think this thing I go to now is I find that people don't really have a mission. That's why people are suffering so much. Their mission was to eat out, go to bars, go to movies. They really didn't have a mission in life. And I mentor a lot of these young millennials and stuff. And I find there's just really beautiful young kids who really just want to talk about what they've done, their art, their music, and they really want to be educated. And unfortunately, the schools today are not really educating. Educe in Greek means to draw forth. And unfortunately, you have to put something in before you draw forth. So I give these kids books to read and things like that. So that's kind of what I do. I talk a lot about missions and strengths. I like to look at people and find their strengths. And I found that most people I talk to have great strengths, but they've never been identified.
That's fascinating. Thank you. I'm very curious about the statistic of the numbers of doctors committing suicide shifting. I know it used to be dentists and psychiatrists. Why orthopedists? Is there a correlation? Why was that showing up?
When you hurt someone, and dentists dentists have had a lot of training that they're over this, but my orthopedist, that I had a rod and a plate, I fell years ago. My orthopedist committed suicide on the porch of his home while his wife was having a party. He had a lot of patients. He was the most beloved orthopedist there was. But the problem is, orthopedics is one of the you're in construction. You're taking drills and hammers and screws to people, and they're in great pain. And they come back and they complain. Anesthesiologists, the same thing. Mm-hmm. You look at a patient and their anesthetics, there are hundreds of wires and tubes and electronics, and people die. And you make mistakes. And the orthopedists, you see, people come back and you hurt me and I'm in pain. And even if they prescribe narcotics, it just doesn't do it. It takes a personal toll. It's a lot like a soldier going to war and coming back and realizing, well, I hurt people, I made the wrong decision, my buddy got hurt, things like that. So what happens is people take it personal when they've hurt someone, sometimes even psychologists. But now, Harvard medical class, they took the dental and the medical took about 2.5% this year. That's about, they had 1,700 applications. They took about 255. So we'll lose almost that whole new medical class, for example, at Harvard through suicide, because doctors feel they've hurt patients, and patients are not respecting of doctors anymore. They complain a lot. A dermatologist, friend of mine told me confidentially, she said, look, patients come into my office and they start to cry. I said, what? I said, is there cancer? She said, no. She said, they're just they're sad, they're distressed, their families aren't working well. And she said, what can I do? I said, well, not much of anything. So a lot of people dump emotional issues onto their physicians, their healthcare providers, nurses, stuff like that. They don't know what to do. And they take those monkeys home with them, and they have to feed and care for those monkeys that other people have given them in their offices. So it's a big problem.
Well, that's fascinating. Thank you very much. That's really interesting stuff and very challenging. I think so many people, not just doctors and healthcare providers, but so many people, including some of us, are being asked to deal with heavily layered emotional issues that people are going through now that we're not used to. And so we need to be prepared to know what we can handle and what we can't. And when we can't, what do we say and how do we care for someone and steer them in a direction, just an opinion, where they can be taken care of. So thank you very much, Kent. I appreciate it. Phyllis?
Well, thanks for mentioning that. And heal the healer is one thing we have to do. A lot of healers today, whether they're masters, psychics, metaphysicians, nurse practitioners, they're pulling back. And you're right. You made an excellent point. And that's all I'm going to say is that the layering, you obviously must be some sort of an artist because you see layers. That's exactly what it is. You really hit it. It's layers upon layers upon layers. So thank you very much. And thank you for letting me talk. I appreciate it very much. This is a wonderful group of really caring.
Thank you. Well, we're happy you're here. We're very happy you're here. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm happy you're here too. Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you.
Phyllis?
Hi.
Hi.
I've actually been to a few of these meetings, so I'm glad that I was able to make this one. It's been really nice to see all your faces. Those who don't remember, don't know what I do, is I'm a certified life coach. I'm a newer life coach, and I'm so happy to have changed careers from the hectic advertising world to life coaching. And I empower female professionals to ask for what they want. I think that it's really important that women in general ask for what they want, and they tend to not to, and wonder why they're not getting the promotion or seeing things change, or even relationships in the workplace and then trickle into their personal life. But they never say anything of what they want. And right now it's trickling into transition with obvious COVID relations where people have lost their jobs. They need some help in transition. And very much like what many have said is that you kind of do some self-reflection, and some take that to a level of like, this is the opportunity, I could change my job or just change myself. So I'm helping with that. And, I've definitely experienced, I think, a more heightened sense of this. I currently take care of my mother who has cancer. So I am on the way other spectrum. I appreciate every stringent COVID, thing that's put in place because I'm so fearful. But it is difficult to get out of that mindset. So, that's something I struggle with. It's just fear due to maybe hurting someone through getting COVID and it, being responsible for that. It's definitely, it's been strange, but take each day, right?
Yes, I think you raised some important points, and there are a couple of things I want to come back to after the introductions are finished, because I'm also noticing the time. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. We have Martina.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Everybody calls me Nina, so
Nina.
I should change my name on Zoom.
Well, I wanted to be official.
Leslie for facilitating our meeting today.
Very welcome.
My name is Nina. I work for USF. I'm an instructor of finance there, for those of you who don't know me. And I've been there for a long time. I've been teaching a lot of online classes. Thank God, I can only say, because in, was it March? It's literally overnight.
Oh, you're freezing. You're, Nina, you're freezing a little bit. We can't hear you, and you're
Nina, you may need to turn your video off to have enough bandwidth.
Okay.
Well, I'll keep talking, and you start talking again, and if you can come back, That would be great. Try talking, Nina.
Is that better without the video?
Yes.
Is
Great.
that better?
We'd rather see you, but it's
Yeah.
Did you want to
Yeah,
say?
so I always believe so
Nina, your connection is unstable, so what you may need to do is sign out and come back in.
Oh, she needs to kick Jim off for a minute so she can talk.
Oh, okay, that's right. You have to kick Jim off the internet.
He's sucking up all the bandwidth.
He may be. So Nina,
Yeah.
I'm going to move on until your connection stabilizes. So thank you. Nina's a longtime member, and hopefully she'll be able to come back in. So very briefly, I'm Leslie Austin. I'm an executive coach, and I do personal coaching as well. And I've had the biggest roller coaster of my life from January till June of this year, and it's been a very challenging time. An unexpected move, a huge downsizing, buying a house during the shelter at home, which was a trip, moving across the street, wheeling our entire lives in carts during the shelter at home, insanity. So that's why there's a little bit of chaos still in the room. And a huge financial unexpected loss in the market, something went on that I didn't know about, and just total shock time. And as it turns out, life presents us with opportunities. And those of you who know me know that I am a little bit out there on some things. And I found a coach who bases her work, which is helping entrepreneurs really build their businesses, on an odd system called human design. Now, we had someone speak on human design at the coaches group a couple of years back. And unfortunately, she left everybody confused. And people didn't know what she was talking about. But
I'm sorry, what kind of design?
Human design.
Oh, human design. Right. Yes.
So long story short, she is working with me in a group, and we have Zoom meetings frequently, to restart my coaching business almost from scratch based on my personality, which is great because every mentor and coach I've ever had has told me you have to call 50 people a week and keep track and network and go out, and that makes my teeth curl. I can't even imagine doing that. My whole career, which has been a good one, has been referral. People send people to me. But that's gone cold since I stopped working and I was taking it easy. And then after this market loss, it was like, ooh. So this has turned out, after a very stressful time, to be a time of great opportunity and great excitement for me now. And I'm really looking forward to my total surprise. If you'd asked me 2 months ago if I'd be in this frame of mind, I would have said, I don't know if that's possible. But I feel like you have to sometimes go into that fertile void, that dark place where there's chaos and you don't know what your norms are anymore, and shed all your old paradigms. And if you're willing to stay in the uncomfortable place and not panic and chew through it, you come out the other side. And from what I'm hearing today, everybody in this group is kind of oriented that way. Everybody is either working on themselves or supporting other people to grow and to find new opportunities in what is. We can't change what is, but we can change how we react to it. So as we start to wind down, I'd be very curious, and maybe you all want to unmute yourselves, if that's fine. Just unmute yourself, Jackie, and talk. I'd be very curious to know what kinds of visions you can have for the future, or how do you want to support people to build and look for something positive in this very acrimonious, crazy, violent, nuts time. Let's just check if Nina's back and she's connecting. And Nina, you there? Well, we don't hear her yet, so maybe she'll come back. So Jackie, and then anyone who'd like to talk, please do.
Jackie, did you introduce yourself?
No, I didn't. That's why I was going, hey, I get a turn. Yeah.
Well, that's because I know you. I know you so well, I forgot. I'm so sorry. Oh, my.
It's okay.
Women do know how to speak up for each other.
Yeah. There we go.
Jackie, sorry. Man.
No worries at all. I'm Jackie Simmons. I am the host of a podcast and I run several summits. And the reason that I do that is because my world shifted before COVID. And it shifted when I became aware that 3,000 teens every day were attempting to take their own lives. And those are just the ones who don't die, and just in the US. And since COVID, that number has gone up dramatically. So I've had to go into that world for a while and find out what was true and find out what we could do, and then balance that with my business. And so now my business, Success Journey Academy, is built on training people to be better advocates for themselves, their families, their businesses, and their tribes. And that is my primary product that I offer. It's a 6-week online training course. The next one starts tomorrow night. For the nonprofit, we are setting up scholarship funds so people who want to become trained as advocates can apply for scholarships, and so that companies can sponsor and teens can get trained as peer advocates. Whatever you're advocating for, it doesn't have to be about suicide, but I will tell you, when you can speak up on this topic, when you can invite someone into a conversation on this topic in a way that is safe and honors and protects everyone, you can talk to them about what you do for a living. Okay, that's the value of this. So we train, and it's a lot of fun. There is nothing more fun than being a better advocate for yourself. So if someone, here's the 3 things. If someone is looking for more information, it's advocatesare.com. So just advocatesare.com, and I'll put it in the chat. That's where you can watch the webinar that I just did and learn about the training program. If you want to have a broader reach and reach a bigger audience with your own mission, and you want to be featured as a guest expert on one of my upcoming summits or on my podcast, please let me know. We'll create a date and I'll send you the speaker form for that. And the third one is, if your life has been touched by suicide, I just want you to know that I care. This morning I had a repairman here. And right as he was leaving, I got the inspiration to give him a copy of the first book we did for the Make It a Great Day movement. And I handed it to him and he went, "This is so appropriate and thank you so much." His friend died by suicide 2 weeks ago. He was 24 years old, leaving behind children. And what I'm hearing more and more is that the first sign that someone's in trouble is an attempt, and it blindsides everybody. It is the people who are normal. They are happy. They're sometimes bored. They're sometimes grumpy. And then they try to take their own life and everybody goes, "What the heck was that about?" Yeah. So our advocacy is about getting ahead. We're not looking to help people who are known to be at risk. We are looking to get to the other people, all of us normal people who may not know that we're at risk. And so that's my mission in the world. I've managed to marry my mission and my business, and I'm just as excited as I can be to now have platforms that I can help everyone move their businesses forward.
Thank you, Jackie. And I just want to make a plug for Jackie. She was kind enough to let me participate in one of her summits when I had no community and no mailing list, which is kind of the point of being in a summit, is to share, cross-pollinate lists. And it was a really fun, great experience. And she's a very good host. So if you think there's something you can share and you want exposure to her audience, you should contact her and see what's involved. You know, it's a good experience. So in starting to wind down a little bit, would anyone like to share where you think we can go going forward? And before we do that, or suggestions for us as a group. By the way, Jackie has taught me something in the chat privately here. On your chat box where you type your messages, if you put your finger or your cursor to the right, you'll see 3 dots. And if you click on the 3 dots, you can save the chat so that you can, all of the contact information that we're putting in there will be saved for you. So thank you, Jackie, for that.
And Leslie, you can save it for however, if you want to put it on the like you were saying, to put this whole recording
David.
on the website, you could just do the chat so people could scan through the resources.
And since you're recording the meeting, unless there's something really weird about the way the recording is set up, it automatically saves the chat for you.
Right.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Didn't
Great.
know.
I just want to very quickly announce that I'm embarrassed I'm unprepared, but we do have a speaker for August and we have one for September. And Phyllis, would you like to just say a word or two about our August speaker?
Yeah. So Rebecca, our speaker in August, is a RIM practitioner, trainer, and RIM master, just like Mike. But her background is actually in the sciences. I can explain RIM very briefly because I think a lot of people here are familiar with it. But it's a group. It's actually, there are 23 tools for emotional release, re-engineering, insight. But it's basically, you can work with anything from somebody being blocked all the way through profound trauma and resolve it. And so I'm certified in it. Rebecca's a very, very skillful RIM practitioner, but she's been for like 6 months or so, been developing an offshoot, which is a kind of combination of RIM plus guided visualization plus a little bit like Ericksonian hypnosis. And I've been in a group that she runs where a group of us get together every morning for a half hour, and she'll pick a topic and we'll explore a topic for a week. And I love it. I really, really look forward to it every day. I find it so interesting and relaxing and brings insight and a lot of joy. So we've invited Rebecca to come and do one with us in August. So we'll have a chance to chat with each other. Then she'll lead us through a process, and based on your interests, I'll probably suggest a couple of topics for her to focus on.
Right.
And then afterwards, we can share our experiences. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it sounds great. Thank you. And then in September, by request, not by me, Margie Haas, who's my partner, is going to talk. She gave a talk at the Florida Creativity Conference last year on which at the time was called Joyful Activism, and it may or may not be the same title, but basically what she was talking about is for those people, for example, who want to do environmental work, so many people are angry and are crusading against hurting the environment. And she was saying that it's far more effective to use your energy to be for what's better and to come from a totally different mindset. And she did a training and a workshop that got very, very strong positive responses. And some people bonded and are still working on projects together as a result of that workshop. So Phyllis kindly mentioned that she wanted to go and couldn't and requested it. So it may be a slightly different topic, but Margie will be speaking with us in September. And again, we'll have a discussion. Obviously, today's meeting is more just kind of getting back together and getting back in contact rather than a focused discussion. But for future meetings, we'll have a speaker. We will have time to just chat, because I think, especially if we're talking virtually, the chatting and the socializing is a really important component. So we'll try and structure it. We may go back to the 90-minute format, maybe, so that we have enough time to have a speaker and discussion of what the speaker's doing, but also some just free, open connecting and chatting and how are you? And we can't hang out at the Bijou with our lunch and coffee and tea or whatever, but we can bring something to the meeting and chat with each other anyway. So I think that'll look good. We're going to plan more speakers. And as I say, when and if we can go back to meeting in person, we will. And I'm thinking maybe we'll try and work out some combination of live streaming the in-person meetings for those who can't make it. All kinds of new technologies have become available and so much easier that maybe we can broaden ourselves there. And please do feel free to invite friends to join us, because the virtual meetings, you're welcome to be our guest, certainly till we get going.
So Leslie, today's meeting is not an hour and a half, because it came as 11:31.
I had, the notes I have was that it was an hour. I'm fine going another 15 minutes.
I'm just saying that that's how it came out.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
So, I think Jackie just put in the chat too, 90 minutes is great. I think that's plenty because we don't have all the interruptions.
Sure.
But I was wondering why you kept saying we're running out of time, because I was like,
somewhere in the notes I saw 60 minutes and I was
so
surprised.
can I do a couple housekeeping things that I've been making notes while we've been going.
Sure.
I, for one, and a couple of other people got a hold of me this morning and said, how do I get in the meeting? So I just want to announce, and maybe I'll send out a quick note to everybody on, the membership, so they understand when they get the meeting announcement. I did the old-fashioned way and went to Meetup and said I was attending. And then this morning I woke up and at 5:30 and said, oh, I don't have a link. So I went and found which I had deleted, the meeting invitation. So it's in the meeting invitation for anybody who missed that like I did. I don't know, I sent the link to somebody, and I'd love to know back if my link worked, and if it did, then I will get with Deb Davis to talk about everybody having an individual link, because we do not want you sharing the link, because if you do that, that's how we get Zoom bound. People inadvertently pass it on and somebody nefarious can get the link. We don't want that to happen. So that was one thing.
And also at some future point, if we do start charging guest fees, we don't want people sharing links, and we'd like to know who's registered, in other words.
Right, and so I think we should make that a best practice right from the get-go. The other thing that came up was what color is your parachute, which is something I recommend to everybody. And I've had what color is your parachute for retirement for about 10 years. And I refer back to it every once in a while when I'm trying to rethink or tweak my own plan. So I would love for, we have a What Am I Reading Now books feature on our newsletter. So if anybody, I forget who it was that was saying parachute. Was it you, Christine, that uses what color is parachute? Then maybe you could write a little something for the newsletter for us, even though you're not a member. We'd be happy to publish, that he died, and there are multiple parachute books for different parts of your life. And there's an online resource now. Just, paragraph or two would be wonderful.
Yes.
The other thing I realized is we have a lot of really cool case studies that came out today. Oh, I have this client who did this or whatever. And maybe I'll ask Deb Davis to add a spot on because once a month we send out, what would you like to put in the newsletter? So I have her add case studies. And, what we do is we publish a paragraph or so, and then they link to our blog on our website.
And of course, you write it so that it's anonymous and doesn't violate confidentiality.
Of course, yeah. I have a client who is, you could say, maybe in this industry or in this career path or something, but yeah, you don't name names and whatnot. So it's much easier. Yeah, absolutely. Leslie, if you have best practices on that, be happy to, include that in the announcement, like 3 or 4 best practices for a case study. I don't know. And then the other thing I realized is we don't have Google Analytics set up for the website. I never check what happened. And I'll ask Deb Davis if that's something she can run for us. So we get that on a monthly basis, and we can see where our leads and click-throughs are coming from and going to, if that's possible. Anybody else, come, if you're sitting in one of these meetings and you go, why aren't we doing this? Please just speak up, or if something comes up later, email me and
Yeah,
I'll take care of it.
speaking of opportunities, the meeting format, since we're virtual for now, and possibly even when we're in person, is certainly open for discussion. So if you want to do something different, or you have an idea, or you'd like to be the speaker, or you'd like to share something, by all means, please probably let me know. And I'm on a committee with Joan, and I'm dropping out who else, but
Phyllis and
Mona.
so sorry. You know, I'm a little
And
scared.
Mona.
My dog is crying outside the room because he wants to come in, and I'm
Yeah.
not letting him in because then he'll take over. So I'm a little distracted. Yeah, so send it to me or to Phyllis or to Joan, and let's talk about possibilities. If you'd like to do a meeting.
It's Mona.
Hmm?
You mean Mona. And
But
Cheryl.
Mona's on the team. Oh, not Joan.
Yeah.
See, I am distracted.
Yeah.
All right, so send it to Phyllis, Mona, or me.
Yeah.
And
And not Phyllis Miller.
right. No, you're not a member, so we wouldn't do it to you. Yeah, and
I have to call my dog.
I would list the other upcoming meetings too. If you've got meetings, 2-3 months out booked, you don't have to do a whole long thing on the newsletter, but you can say, in September upcoming, this is the topic.
We have been.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that on this last newsletter. We mentioned the names of the August and September speakers. And I think it's a great idea going forward to at least have the speakers lined up far enough ahead. People do drop out, but at least people know there's a meeting. It's always the third Monday of the month. It's always 11:30 in the morning unless we decide to change it. So really think about, if you'd like to participate or do something, please speak up. This is our group, and the more participation, the better.
And there was discussion in the June meeting, where we were doing our strategic planning about the traditional December holiday meeting, but no decision made based on the uncertainty of gathering and how everybody would feel about that. So
I don't know until much closer.
Yeah, so until things obviously flatten out, I don't think, a month ago it seemed like we might be able to pull it off, but with things spiking the way they are, it's not, I don't think most people would be comfortable.
Yeah, that's the other thing about this time that has affected so many of us. Unless you are used to being very fluid and very zen in your daily life, and not projecting or planning forward, this time has created a need in all of us to be able to be much more flexible and deal with rapid changes, unexpected changes, and the fact that we cannot plan the same way that we used to. So what was it, life? John Lennon said in one of his songs, life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans. And that's the perfect description to me of what's going on in our outer environment between the pandemic and the reactions and the restrictions, and people being ill, and some people being really terrified, and some people not caring at all. And how do you deal with all those different takes on things? And are masks a political or a health issue, or it's a huge mess, and our psyches are right out in the open and raw and noisy in a way that they haven't been really for a long time. I think the most noisy period that I can think of in my life would have been during the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, when things were so fraught. And there is actually an astrological correlation of certain kinds of energies that were going on in the late 60s into the mid 70s that are being replicated only more strongly now. If you study those kinds of patterns, there is a pattern. So it's quite a time. It's quite a time. And I think it's incumbent on us to talk now about what positive suggestions do we have for each other to support each other as coaches, as caretakers, as people going forward. How can we take care of each other in a way that allows us to then also take care of others, which we all clearly seem dedicated to do without it being an obsessive burden. Any ideas?
Well, you hit the nail on the head when you said without it becoming an obsessive burden.
Yeah, well, there's a balance, and it's a challenge to, like Kent was talking about, it's a challenge to be a coach, because obviously you're working on your own stuff to be a coach. At least I think it's obvious. I hope it's obvious. And yet people are coming to you. So how do you know how much support to give, how to give that support in such a way that it doesn't drain you, but that you are helpful to other people? Do you all think about that, or am I?
All the time, all the time. It's the most important thing that I learned in my coach training, I think, was you can't be working harder than your client. You know, you can't want it more than your client. I say that to people all the time because I do probably 80% consulting, and, you know, and the coaching is an overlay. And I'll make a suggestion, and, you know, it'll go integrated or undiscussed even. And then I'll finally just say, obviously I want this a lot harder, a lot more than you do, so I'm just going to drop it. And I call it the PESC conversation. And, you know, it really works, because people will say, yeah, you're right, it's not for me, or no, I think it's a great idea, you know, we need to explore that, and it goes one way or the other. I do that I do that with people who say they want to hire me as well. You know, I just closed some business. Well, we're not 100% closed yet, but 4 weeks, this guy was, you know, not responding after he called me, and we had a great conversation. He was like, yeah, let's move it forward. And, you know, there were some things, because there were other people that I was bringing into the project. And he was not answering me. And I said, you know, Aaron, you sounded very excited, but obviously I'm being a pest, so I'm just going to stop, okay? No, it's all my fault. I'm gonna give somebody else in my business to follow up with you, because obviously I don't have the time. And now they're like, you know, we want it done tomorrow. And I'm like, well, you know, we only let 5 or 6 weeks pass so far, so we can be in a hurry, or we can do it right. You know? But I call those the pest conversations. And you know, you want to remind people that is it something you want or not?
Right. When I was in training in the Stone Age at the Gestalt Institute to become a therapist back then, one of the things that kept hammering into us that was a hard concept for people to get until they got it was, you are not the one who does the healing. You are not the one who helps cure people. You are not the one that transforms people. You are the facilitator of their internal process. You're the guide, but you're not the one that creates the change. And that one concept, if that was the only thing I got out of those 4 years, it was worth it. It's not by far. But realizing that you are the facilitator of other people's change, I think helps you keep a better concept of balance for yourself. I mean, think about Cynthia. She's dealing with so many people who are relying on her for help, and she has to, because of sheer volume, I'm supposing, Cynthia, that you have to have a balance of, they'll either do it or they won't, and I'll be there if they're ready, and if they're not, I can't make them. And you have to just bless them and hope that they'll get it, and be there if they do come back. Yes?
Yep, absolutely. We're here for them.
Yeah. So we need to
I do that for myself as well, though, because I'll make a list of goals, and then I won't do them, and I'm like, then I just have this sit down with myself, and I say, obviously you don't really want that, do you? And when I'm ready, I'm ready. But it's very good for self-reflection as well.
Yeah, and sometimes I think it's not that people don't want it, it's that they're not ready to take the actions that are needed to get somewhere. Because
I can start the actions, I just can't keep them up. You know, it's the commitment.
Yeah, I mean, people fear change. It's sort of like we're used to the devil we know, and we're not sure if we'll get a worse devil or an angel. And so we'll just stay with the devil we know. Sometimes people stay with uncomfortable situations. A lot in my work lately, which is focusing more and more on narcissism. And
Your favorite.
well, actually, I'm doing a talk tomorrow night for an online group of 2,000 people on basically the talk I gave for the coaches group, that I have developed a way of relating to and working with narcissists that's different than all the stuff out there on YouTube. So if you follow the stuff on YouTube, you will get crushed. It's a private Facebook group, and it's semi-human design and semi-not, but I'm kind of excited about it. But the whole point is, even dealing with that kind of abusive behavior, if you want to change it, you are not going to change the other person. You have to do the work on you.
Somebody's asking if you can give us a link to the talk, or is it closed?
Yes, you would have to join the private Facebook group. It's called Align to Your Design.
Can you put it in the chat?
Yes, I will. It's a lot of human design stuff, so you may not know what's going on. And the woman leading its name is Beth Davis. She's kind of a dynamic person.
Oh, I love Beth.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, she's absolutely. She started with scientific hand analysis with
Yes, that's right. Right. So I'm working with her now, and it's awesome. Yeah. I'll put that.
If anybody doesn't know Jackie, like I know Jackie, Jackie has a photographic memory. I was in a book club with Jackie, and we read books for 3 or 4 years together, and she could repeat, paragraph by paragraph out of books we read 3 years ago. It's amazing what this woman can retain.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure when they tag me as the Library of Congress. Because
yeah, I bet.
As a stress management consultant and a brain retrainer, I also trained myself in what I call learned forgetfulness, so that I did not carry my clients' stories. And so people assume that because I remember what I read, I also remember what they say to me. Not happening. And I don't even remember what I say, which is why I suggest everybody record when you give a talk. Make sure you record it, because by the time you get off the stage and the chemical balance in your body changes, you might not remember what you said. And it's good to go back and review it.
Yeah. So anyone else? What kinds of things, let me flip the question around. What kinds of things have supported you? Rather than asking what we can do to support others, what have you found sustaining or helpful or supporting during this time?
The biggest thing I found
share with others.
The biggest thing I found sustaining is that I started reaching up. I started reaching up and asking people for assistance, for ideas, for time. People who I might not have approached before. And so what that's done in the business world is now having joint venture partners who have hundreds of thousands and up to 1 million people on their mailing lists, in my personal and my growth inside my business, getting the time with people who can see a perspective that I don't have. And so what's sustaining to me is going ahead and asking for support, which is a true learning. I didn't have that skill until I took on something that I couldn't do by myself. And so now I'm asking, and saying, hey, I can't speak for 34 speaking slots on a summit. I have to start asking people to come and speak on my summit. Yeah, so I started taking on bigger and bigger things. So I invite everybody to look at what is it you want to do that you can't do by yourself, and then start asking who's the right person. And I'm a big proponent now. I'm a student of something called mind types. And what I realized is that when I can embrace who I am, which in my mind type, I'm a problem solver. I take in a lot of information and in warp speed, give out an answer. And this was, I'm the kid in school who could give you the answer to the math problem and will go back and do the work if somebody absolutely insists that I do it, because why waste the time? And it's just, this is the way my brain works. And I had to be exposed to this to learn that not everybody's brain works that way. And the givers on my team, everybody on my team now, we know their type. So that I know if somebody's a giver, they're going to run into their kryptonite of overcommitment. And so I'm a little more mindful of how I ask them to do things.
Right.
So they make sure that they check in. Whereas with me as a problem solver, no, you just ask me. Yeah. But with them, I give them the preamble to say,
Right.
Check your schedule, make sure you have bandwidth for this. So this whole self-awareness and awareness of other people's types, whether it's through the Enneagram, which Deb and I did some, and Jean, we all did some studying on that a long time ago, or the human design or the mind types, and how mind types work in business. I've got a recorded presentation that the man who created it did, Ridgely. He would be a dynamite speaker going forward. So I'll get you the link to the recording.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the chat. And then, if you guys think he'd be a good speaker, you guys, we'll have him come in. But it's just, we have such an amazing opportunity now to get speakers from further away because nobody has to travel.
Right.
And so we all know somebody. And I love the fact that you also know Beth. Because, so I'll be in the Facebook group. I'm going to go hunt for it.
Okay.
Oh, and I put a link to, speaking of exercise, Deb, I was not a daily exerciser before COVID. So I'm one of those people that I am carrying around the COVID-19, that extra 19 pounds. And so I met someone through one of my JVs who is Dr. Fitness International. And they've had to totally change their business model because they work only in gyms. I mean, and they work with the high end of the high end. They've got endorsements. They've been on all the TV shows. Now they've done the pivot to doing it. And so this is one of their premier events, and they're doing it for free for one of my meetup groups tonight at 6 o'clock. So everyone's invited. I put the link in the chat.
Great.
I'm going to get fit. This is my year.
Anyone else? What has sustained you during this time?
Well, Leslie, I think I mentioned before that in my business, I'm working with clients, and I would love to be able to get input from others with help. So that's why that group I mentioned, the small group, and we only made it 7 or 8 people, we never have it more, is the brainstorming that goes on. Or I can say, this client, he would like to get into these companies, or how do you think? And I get feedback from 7 people. So to me, that's been helpful the past 2 or 3 months to be able to be back in that group. So again, I suggested that maybe, through our group, we could have small groups that would meet once in a while. And
I love the idea, and would you take it on to form it, since you're the expert in how it operates?
Well, I'm not the expert, but again, we made it small, and we didn't let more than 8 people join, and we'd meet once a month and just give each other feedback on a client that we might have, and then we might talk about something else, but it was only an hour's meeting.
If you're willing, if it's, and I'm not, the answer no is perfectly acceptable, obviously, but if you're willing to be the point person, we can put something in the next newsletter and ask people to contact you if they'd like to join to be in a small group.
Okay.
We can ask on membership, and then they can just contact you and go right ahead and set it up. That would be a great idea.
Yeah, just to brainstorm their situation.
And we now own a Zoom. The GSCA owns a Zoom. So it can be, and it has generic username and sign-in credentials, so we can share that.
Right. I think the thing that has carried me through most importantly, really honestly, is my, what I don't want to use the word in a facile way, but my spiritual orientation towards my life. Looking at a bigger picture and looking for accepting what is and dealing with the emotions when I'm upset at what isn't, or what I would rather have happening. Really trying to be in the present moment and looking for whatever meaning I can find and then build in whatever's coming at me. And as you all know in your own lives, that can be a real challenge. But as I said earlier, to me, it's worth it to hang in there, because that's where the real seeds of transformation and the positive are. But it ain't easy. It takes a lot of work and a lot of self-reflection. But for me, that's what sustained me, is really looking at, so where do I go from here? What's my best one next choice? What's the next best thing I can do that feels better than what is now? And that's about, for a couple months, that was the only rule of thumb I had. What's the one next best thing that feels a little bit better than the way I'm feeling right now? I could project long term. And that's kind of given me a different frame of reference, even for planning a business, because I don't know if we'll go back to normal or semi-normal or not, or how long it's going to take. And there's so much confusing information about the medical stuff. There's so much conflicting information about what works and what doesn't, and what the virus is and isn't. It's so controversial. We don't know anything, really. So we just have to stay with ourselves and stay centered and move forward. And that's the practice I'm trying to do as best I can. Yeah, Mona, just unmute yourself and talk, please.
I wanted to say, I think fear of the unknown has surpassed fear of change.
Mm-hmm. Fear of the unknown, yes, it's a very big, and the unknown is right in front of us.
Right, has just surpassed fear of changing, because we've had to change, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, do this, but the fear of what will even tomorrow's news bring, or what will happen next week, or, oh, wow, now will children start to be carrier? I mean, it's so, like you said, Leslie, it's just so unknown.
It's reminded us that we had the illusion that we thought life was reliable and predictable.
Yeah.
And it really is an illusion, because it ain't. So that ain't that a shocker for us to realize.
Yeah.
I realize
it's really the Matrix. We're living in the Matrix.
Yes. We're coming close to 1 o'clock. And
I would love if anybody else has a mantra that they give themselves. I would love to hear. Mine is that I enjoy my own company. So I'm never, it's good. I don't have to be somewhere or whatever. So does anybody else have some adage they live by?
So I just took this event and it became as a spirit of adventure. When it first happened, it was really a shock. I couldn't go to the clinic. I couldn't see clients. And the only way I'd ever worked with clients was in person. Because you see, my work, I go with my mind into their body. I take them on a journey. I facilitate a process to change the pattern. But that was always in an in-person, three-dimensional, experiential sense. And suddenly, it's just, I'm all alone. I don't have family here. So I said, what am I going to do? And I found within the sense of the spirit of adventure. I had been a dancer. I went out on that stage many times, completely ill-prepared. The first time I danced on a professional stage, I was not even rehearsed, but I did it. And so I dug in and I found that little nugget, that spirit of adventure, and I'm into the internet now. And I'm doing things that before they were no-nos. I was never going there. It's a two-dimensional field. You can't even penetrate. You can't even do anything real on that in movement. But heck, I'm finding it because I took the spirit of adventure. What I'm doing with the knee recovery blueprint, I never thought I could do before. And I am excited because I went and for 2 days I was in lockdown. I said, I don't like this. I said, I have to find something that I knew long ago. And I found it, and I've been on that course ever since. And when I work with my clients or anyone I see, and the COVID has had such an impact on friends and whatever, I go to that same mindset because I believe if we can go and be with that spirit of adventure. We will get through this better than we ever could before.
Thank you, Mona. I think that's a great note on which to wrap up our meeting for today. And I'll just share with you, I have a bunch of email accounts, and on the signature on one of them is the title of a book by some Swami I saw years ago, which is Choose to Be Happy. And the other one, on the one I use for fun and newsletters and stuff, just says, why not? And I'll leave you with those thoughts. Please come back to our meeting next month. Please send feedback if you want any suggestions or you'd like to participate, you have any ideas. Bless you all. See you next month. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Leslie.
Bye.
Thanks, Leslie.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Remember to say